fake guru Cheyenne Bryant not only got exposed for her license not existing, but even more in this video from a real doctor. Let's get into it, see what's going down. Don't forget to hit the hype button, subscribe if you haven't, and drop some comments.
No longer practice under a license. Right now I'm in private practice, I'm saying. And that's what people don't understand, right? So just to educate some folks a little bit.
Hello, my name is Dr. Raquel Martin. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, professor of sciences, and podcast host who specializes in Black health and well-being. And I want to break down a clip from the Joe Budden podcast featuring someone who presents herself as Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. But before we dive in, I want to make something incredibly clear. Having a doctorate does not mean someone is a licensed mental health professional. You can have a doctorate in literature and be unlicensed, and you are still a doctor. You can have a doctorate in education and hold an LPC, being a licensed professional counselor, and you are a licensed mental health professional, and you are still a doctor, but your doctorate is not in psychology. When evaluating anyone's credentials, it's really critical to look at two things: what their doctorate is actually in and whether they hold a relevant clinical license. In this case, the person you're about to hear from is unlicensed. I'm going to break down why that matters and why this particular message is harmful, especially to the Black community that she claims to be serving and that I actually serve.
A license is really only needed so you can bill insurance.
That is incredibly misleading. Yes, you do need a license to bill insurance, but that is not why licensure exists. Licensure protects you. It means I have completed specific education and supervised clinical hours, passed rigorous exams, and I'm accountable to a regulatory board. If I breach confidentiality, if I cross ethical boundaries or harm you, you have somewhere to file a complaint and be sure that I'm held accountable.
Seem like Cheyenne don't know what the heck she's talking about, which I kind of got the sense of that when I watched the interview that she did on the Joe Budden podcast, where she started going after the white person in the room because he critiqued her and started to blame racism and white privilege and all this other dumb stuff that made no sense because she didn't have any answers for herself or for anyone. I was like, okay, yeah, that's definitely a grifter right there. That's someone that should not be trusted in any way. They guaranteed they give you the worst advice possible. But some people, they just want to hear whatever they want to hear. I don't think her audience actually cares how much proof you show that she's a fraud.
A license is not paperwork just for billing. It's a consumer protection. When someone drops or loses or no longer has a license, they're not solely avoiding the insurance hassle. They're also removing your recourse if something goes terribly wrong.
Not binded by BBS, the behavior board science rules and regulations and ethics. And so it just opened up a whole nother, floor in industry for me.
And she's also saying this like it's a good thing. I want to state something really important. Ethics codes exist to protect you from exploitation and boundary violation and providers practicing outside of their competence. When someone celebrates being free from ethical oversight, I want you to think of that as a red flag, a flashing one. It's a warning sign because those rules exist because real harm happens when they're not in place. So celebrating that you don't have to be accountable to that should be concerning to you.
As a therapist, two things: you can obviously make what you deserve because therapy is real. We're giving everything we have in there and we're unpacking shit and we're helping you process through things. So it's not us sitting there where if you're an effective therapist saying, tell me more. You should be unpacking and you should be able to take somebody and drive with them to their goal.
And here's another thing. She keeps calling herself a therapist, and in most states, that's actually illegal without a license. You cannot legally use the title therapist or provide psychotherapy without licensure. What she's describing now is coaching, and coaching and therapy are fundamentally different. Coaches help with goals and accountability. Therapists are trained to diagnose and treat mental health conditions, trauma and depression and suicidality and psychosis. If someone with untreated bipolar disorder or PTSD thinks they're getting therapy from a coach, they're going to be seriously harmed. These are actual conditions that go undiagnosed and untreated, especially within the Black community.
Cheyenne knows she living foul. She's doing a whole lot of manipulation and changing her words to try to make it seem like she's not doing something that could be seemed or deemed as legal. Yeah, that deserves a nasty song for damn sure. Whoa. Kind of Dr. Phil stuff you got going on.
Yeah. You nasty fam, you nasty. You nasty fam, you nasty. You nasty fam, you nasty. You nasty fam, yeah. You know your name. You
Nasty work. So you don't have the credentials. Got the nerve to come on social media talking about some. I never said I had the credentials. I never said that. You did multiple times on other platforms, and now it's being addressed and called out by actual doctors. Yeah, you pretty much made your own bed.
Sure, I'm just saying, but let's say I do realize it, and you're licensed. You're saying I can call somebody.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're not, I can't call anybody. That feels like that feels like an out. It's like if I were a restaurant owner and I decide, well, I'm not with the Better Business Bureau. It's like, or I'm not with the health department. Like, don't you have to sign up with these people?
Not if you're licensed, yes, that's part of like who you're licensed with. But if say you're a coach, you can decide to, like, there are some ways that you can be certified, but you don't have to. Like, anyone can state that they're a coach. Anyone can't state that you're a licensed mental health professional.
I get it. So if I'm a mental health professional, I have to be licensed. I can't opt out. But if I use the word life coach, I can, or career coach or relationship coach. Oh, yeah. That's the workaround. The workaround is just saying you're not that thing. You give it name into something else.
Yeah, there's no regulatory body on coaching. People can take the there are like certain ways that it's not certified, but like there's like the International Coaching Federation and there's the National Board of Health and Wellness and Coaching. You can decide to go through that like credentialing ecosystem, but it's voluntary. You can just decide that like, oh, I'm really good at problem solving. I problem solve my problems. I problem solve my husband's problems, my friend's problems. I'm a problem solving coach. Like that's what I do. There's no regulatory body on that. You can say that whenever you want.
Here's what and I don't want to spend too much time on Dr. Bryant because this isn't about her, but it's just a good example. But she is self-identified as a therapist, as a psychologist. So when she's giving the advice, doesn't that give at least the impression that this is mental health professional work happening?
Yeah, but that's one of the biggest issues I have. Like the biggest, I think some people took from the video, if they weren't familiar with my work, because if anyone's familiar with me, they know I cape for coaches all day. I'm like, yeah, like there are fantastic coaches out there. But there's no coach worth their salt that won't be like starting off, even when like most of them do it in their consultation, just a heads up. I am a coach. Like I am not a therapist. Like, and I want to tell you the difference. Additionally, if we get to a point where I feel like this is outside of coaching and this is outside of, and it's into therapy, I'm going to give you a referral. Like every coach I know who does coaching, that's what they do. The issue is the same way that there is no regulatory body on the aspect of coaching. I don't particularly know what a psychology expert is. Like I don't, like that's not, there's no regulatory body on that. Also, therapy and being a therapist is more so a category. It's like as a psychologist, as a licensed professional counselor, as a licensed clinical social worker, as a licensed marriage and family therapist, as a psychiatrist, as a psychiatric nurse practitioner. These are all people who are licensed and they can conduct therapy. It's like an umbrella term, but all of those individuals are licensed. You cannot call yourself a therapist if you are not a licensed mental health professional. So that is an issue. And even in some states, it's actually illegal to refer to yourself that way. Like
sound like jail time to me. Sound like prison. Sound like there's going to be a whole lot of requests for refunds. Whoa. I'm telling you, fam, you got to stop just trusting and believing that these internet gurus are real. There are people that's desperate for someone to guide them and lead them into just nothing. So they're like, please keep feeding me the garbage. Manja. She's still going to have supporters after this. But that's my opinion. Tell me what yours is down in the comment section. Hit the hype button. Watch more videos, especially the last 2 videos I just did. I've been going in with the content.